So long and unwelcome to yet another edition of Bizarro Style. I am Bizarro. Actually, I'm not Bizarro. When I said I am Bizarro, that was a lie. I am not Bizarro. I am here to do a review of Ultraman. The siege just ended tonight, and I wanted to do a review of Ultraman for those of you who are wondering about whether or not you should upgrade him. And the other thing I wanted to mention is if there's ever a subject that you want me to cover, just leave a comment and tell me what it is you want me to cover, and I will try to cover it for you the best that I can. I'm always looking for suggestions for good shows. I had somebody suggest doing a team leaders video, and I do plan to do that. So without further ado, let me talk about Ultraman. If you didn't hear my previous video on the December preview, Ultraman and Owlman were characters I'd been asking for a long time, and it's because I really like the characters from DC Comics, and I erroneously said that the Forever Evil trade paperback that's out there was out of the normal DC continuity, and I was wrong about that. If you are interested in Ultraman and Owlman as DC characters, there are some good trades that are out there that are part of the normal DC continuity that you can check out. The first one is Trinity War that I would have you check out of the new 52. And Trinity War leads into Forever Evil. And you can even throw in Justice League Volume 5, which I can't remember the name of the volume, but I'll post a picture as part of the edit for this video. So you'll want to start with Trinity War, then you will go to Justice League Volume 5, and then you will read Forever Evil. I think that should be the right order. And if you're really interested in the origins of Ultraman and Owlman, they cover that in Justice League Volume 5. So it's definitely worth checking out. Anyway, so those are my comic recommendations. Here we go with Ultraman. The first thing I need to do is upgrade him. So let me go ahead and rank him up. All right, so power level goes to 6760, and now I am going to become a legend, or at least he is. I guess I'm a legend of sorts, but not the one that I would want to be. All right, let me go ahead and rank him up again. All right, keep going. All right, so cool. I have enough for him to go to Legendary 4. So you can see at Legendary 4, his power level is 7421. And Ultraman is a special damage tank. And the way you can tell is if you go in and look at his HP here, you can see he has a lot of HP relative to other characters, and that's what makes him a tank. And he does special damage, so that's what makes him a special damage tank. One last thing I need to do here is upgrade his abilities. I may not have enough rings. Yes, looks like I'm not going to have enough rings to do all his abilities at max level, but this should be a good enough test of his abilities with the way I have him now. All right, so let me run through the abilities and what the legendary upgrades are, and then I'm going to sort of walk through, because you can see I haven't selected anything, of course, because I just did all the legendary upgrade of the character. So we'll see what we think should be the right legendary order. All right, so the first one, special damage to an enemy. If Ultraman is debuffed, transfer 3 debuffs to target, otherwise plus 50% extra damage. And the legendary is if Ultraman is still debuffed, transfer 3 debuffs to target, otherwise apply 5 crit damage down. So that one actually looks pretty good. I like that one because that's the whole purpose of Ultraman, is to be somebody who is transferring debuffs. So you really want to take him into battle when you're facing characters that do a lot of debuffs, particularly Man-Bat, because with the fact that Ultraman can taunt, that should trigger Man-Bat to pounce on him and put a bunch of disease, which you can then transfer right back to Man-Bat. Alright, the second ability, Kryptonite Recharge, gain taunt, 3 intelligence up, 4 stamina up, and 4 mens. And then the legendary, if Ultraman's HP is below 50%, gain an overheal. So that one looks pretty good too. Ultra Vision, special damage to all enemies. I guess they kept this description short and sweet. And then the legendary upgrade, 25% chance per enemy alive to apply buff immunity to all enemies. This is really a good ability here because Ultraman is, I believe, I don't think there's another character in the game that can apply buff immunity to all the characters. You can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. The next one is a passive ability, Sadistic Delight. When an enemy dies, reset cooldown of Kryptonite Recharge. So you can see all those chances there. Basically, I have it at 100%, so it's not stating the percent, but that's because it's guaranteed. When an enemy dies, it resets Kryptonite Recharge, which, if you remember, is this one here where he gains the taunt. So you can basically taunt again. And the legendary upgrade there also gained 3 mens. I'm not a particular fan of that one because, you know, of course, we're all thinking about what will happen with Wonder Girl. And I don't want to have a whole bunch of debuffs, or excuse me, buffs to get whipped to death by Wonder Girl because I'm already getting enough from Kryptonite Recharge. And then finally, Corruption Transfer. If a teammate is debuffed at the end of their turn, 60% chance to transfer 2 debuffs to a random enemy. Transfer 2 extra debuffs to a random enemy if teammate is a villain. Now that maxes out, as you can see, at 75% because I don't have enough blue rings, which is always the case. And then the legendary upgrade is when Corruption Transfer activates, Ultraman uses Ultra Strength on random enemy if a teammate is a villain. So that basically gives him an out-of-turn attack, which is also good. So you see all the legendary abilities, and now I have to sort of decide what order I'm going to take them in. And the one thing I can say is that for sure I'm going to leave the gain 3 mens as the 5th. And because mine's only legendary 4, that means that I would not take this one at all for my Ultraman. Excuse me. All right, so I am of the belief that because this debuff, this buff immunity, which if all your enemies are alive, basically you're guaranteed to apply buff immunity to all the enemies. Because this is not available in any other character, I believe this should be the first that you take. Let's see. So we'll say that the first one is 3 as the first ability. And let's see what we want to do next. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that. Now, let's see. We get... So because his kit is built around transferring debuffs, I feel like this may be a possibility for number 2, which is his first ability. Let me see which is one. Gain the overheal. And then when Corruption Transfer activates, this is his 5th one. Ultraman uses Ultra Strength on a random enemy. So remember that we're transferring debuffs, but if it activates, it also makes him use Ultra Strength, which also transfers debuffs. So my thinking is that it would be better to do number 1 first, because that way if number 5 activates, you already have, you're sort of double transferring the debuffs based on both of those. So let's see, so 3, then 5, then 1. No, sorry, that's wrong. 3, 1, 5. and then 2. So 3, 1, 5, 2, 4. All right, so let me make sure I have that straight. So 3, and then 1, which I'm going to take now, and then 5, yes, 5, and then 2, yes, and then that leaves the 3 men's, as I said, last. So 3, 1, 5, 2, 4 would be what I recommend for the legendary order. Now, maybe because you like the passive ability, you may want to take that first. So arguably you could take 5 first, but I really think it's better to take 1. That way when 5 triggers, when you can take 5 as a legendary upgrade, then you already have the ability to transfer already through his basic. Okay, so let's take Ultraman into battle. I have got some PvP energy here, and I haven't really, done a lot of thinking about what I want my teams to be with Ultraman. But one thing I was thinking about is how I could get Ultraman to activate pretty quickly with the debuff immunity on all the teammates. And if I were facing another Lex team, obviously you want to be able to do that right away, because that way if you're using your Lex team against theirs, they can't buff, and that means they can't get the turn meter and the overheals. So I'm going to try this one against Lucas here, who also happens to have Ultraman. All right, so we need to be able to go faster than him, and he's got Flash, so I'm going to use my Lex. I will use my Ultraman, of course, wherever he is. 74 something. There he is, 7421. And then because I'm going to need some speed, I'm going to go with Reverse Flash. And let's see. I think I will use, because he's got so many blues, I'm going to use Black Adam. So let's give this a whirl, see if it works. And this will be our first test of Ultraman. And it'll be kind of a double test because he's got him too, so you can see how he works when the AI has him as well. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is put speed down on Flash so that he can't go, because as soon as he goes, he's going to gain speed. And the other thing it'll do is it'll also give me 2 speed ups, which will then overheal my team and speed up my team. So here we go. All right, so you can see that I was able to speed my team up, which really helps because now I can go with Ultraman, and I should be able to apply that buff immunity to all enemies. Now, alternatively, I could taunt, and that would give me more buffs and allow me to go even faster. But you can see that the turn meter on my Black Adam should allow me to take somebody out pretty quick. So I'm going to apply the buff immunity, and hopefully this works correctly. Yep, see, there you go. All right, so now what I can do is just start bombing them with Black Adam, and you can see this is working pretty good. Now, the other thing that you may not know is that, oh, and there's that corruption transfer. I did not do that move. He did that out of turn because he was transferring the debuffs to her. And the other thing that was really nice is when you kill somebody with Silver Banshee, she will normally give them death immunity, but because she couldn't buff her team because of Ultraman, she couldn't do that. All right, so I'm going to hit her with the big move. And then, wow, we got another. Look at all the debuffs that he transferred to her. That is really cool. All right, so I can just wipe her out with Black Adam. And I think that's a pretty good first test. I really like that. I mean, there was an inordinate amount of debuffs that were dropped on her. Just a lot of crit chance downs. So you can see we took that one. But let's see what other teams we might be able to face here to see how he does. All right, so let's take a look at some of these. Reggaeman 100, Yaman. Okay, let's take a look at him. All right, so this is another team that would be really cool to test him with, because we have Suicide Squad Deadshot, who can put bleeds on my team with staring at me somehow. I've never figured out how that works, really. So what I need to do is I'm going to swap out for Owlman so that Owlman can take out Black Adam, and then basically going to run the same team and use the same strategy, and hopefully we'll see how it works with the bleeds on the bleeds from Suicide Squad Deadshot. All right. I love how fast Reverse Flash moves on the 3X. He looks like he's about to have a conniption fit. All right, so I'm going to... Wow, okay, well that was quick. All right, so I'm going to buff up my team, and then I just want to apply that debuff immunity, or excuse me, buff immunity. So we're not going to get a chance to see the bleeds because he did some pretty good damage there. But keep in mind, this is a little bit of a lower level team at 27,000 rating. Take him out with Owlman, and then goodbye. All right, so test 2 successful. So I feel like the synergy is very good with Lex, and especially to take on other Lex teams, but and that was a little bit of a lower level team, so I want to try. Now this is my teammate here, Bizarro Jack Dono, and I don't want to attack him because he's going for World's Finest, so I don't want to take points from him, so I'm going to try this team here. And one thing I want to do is I want to see how this team runs with Atrocitus lead, because again, we can transfer those. We'll start off with Enrage, and we might be able to transfer that Enrage to the other team. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, let me swap out Reverse Flash, and I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use Castaway Green Arrow again, just to get that turn meter down on them. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I need a blue in my lineup. So let's run our old pal Wonder Girl and see how she does, because she'll be enraged and she does really big damage. So let's see how this does, because the idea here is to try and transfer the enrage onto them, and hopefully it won't go onto their Wonder Girl, because then she'll pound the heck out of me. Let's see how this goes as another potential comp. All right, so you can see when I hit her, I was able to transfer the Enrage and 5 crit chance downs on her. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to taunt. And this will be a good test to see how he does with Wonder Girl. Although hopefully she'll last for us to... So wow. And Owlman's going kind of nuts. And you can see, because he's a tank, he's able to take that damage pretty well. And I'm kind of liking this team here. Now, there was no, obviously there's no taunter on the team we're facing. So take that match with a little bit of a grain of salt, because, you know, normally you're going to encounter some sort of taunter. All right, so let's try this Deadshot team here. And let's see, so they've got some decent speed on that team, but again, they have no taunter. So let's try the same thing again. This might be a suicide run here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out Owlman and I'm going to run Reverse Flash. And that way I'll have two energy characters to their two red characters. And let's just see how this goes again. So far I'm really liking Ultraman. Does fairly decent damage. Seems to be able to take a shot. I would like to see him take a shot from Wonder Girl to see how that does. You can see the crit chance downs that were applied to Black Adam, so he didn't really do any damage. And now what we can do is, let's put the debuff, well, let's take a chance and taunt and see how this goes. And then what I'm going to do is, so you can see that's a lot of crit chance downs. And I'm going to wipe out him. So again, you know, I'm pretty impressed so far because putting the crit chance downs, putting the debuff immunity, transferring debuffs, he's able to take a hit, does fairly decent damage. It's looking good. Let's do one more against this. Well, this is an all blue team, so this might not be the smartest move. But you know what? We can see how much damage you can really take. So we'll just run. All right, we'll run Red Hood, Green Arrow, and excuse me, Booster Gold along with Ultraman. And this might be the ultimate suicide mission, but we'll give it a try. This will test how much damage Ultraman can really take, which I think is one thing that I really wanted to see myself, because I want to know how he does in terms of taking damage before I take him into battle. One of the things that you'll notice is that he's fluctuating between 4 and 5 bars of health. That doesn't mean that he's actually changing the amount of health he has. Those bars change in relative to the team you're playing. And because Grundy and Ares have a heck of a lot of bars for their health, that means my Ultraman's is going to be a little lower. So the first thing I want to do is slow down the team. Now it might actually speed them up because of Shazam, but we shall see. Okay, it did slow him down, and I am going to take out Shazam first, simply because he can taunt and can be a real pain in the neck. And now I'm going to taunt myself, and we're going to see how he does to be able to take damage. So this will be a pretty decent test of this if they get a turn, because of Red Hoods. And you can see now that they've died, I can taunt again, because you remember it resets upon an enemy's death. So hopefully they're going to get a turn here. All right, so I can taunt again. I hope poor Ares gets a chance. It doesn't look like he's going to. Red Hood is also demonstrating what a good character he is. Alright, so let's punch him with Ultraman, and he bled out. So, I guess I picked too good of a team to test whether he could take damage. Anyway, I am very impressed with Ultraman. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I don't want to keep running it. And plus, the last teams I have on my board are a little bit lower level, and then I don't want to attack my poor teammate. I think Ultraman looks really good so far. I'm impressed. If there's anything you want me to answer about Ultraman, just leave it in the comments section. I appreciate you watching my video. I hope you have a happy holiday season, and I won't see you next time. Hello.